Unhindered Soul and the Magic Within. I'm your host, Angela Zajkowski, and today we'll be speaking with Janice Tverberg. She is the Quiet Healer. She's a certified Reiki Master Teacher, a Karuna Master Teacher, intuitive medium, and she has a podcast called Unique Peace. So, Janice, thank you so much for being here and sharing all this with us. And I just wanted to ask you, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and, kind of before now.
Before now. Well, I am a Reiki Master Teacher, Karuna Master Teacher, and an intuitive medium. I'm also a self-care coach, but that's like, it's a lot. But before all of this, I was born in Minnesota, raised in Colorado. I'm like an Arlo Guthrie song a little bit, because then I went to school outside of Chicago. Then I came
Wow.
out to the East Coast.
All right.
Kind of.
Oh, that explains. Okay. So yeah, because I love it. So I didn't realize that you lived in all those places before here. I just assumed, all right, she's always been in New York. So can you, one of the things that I always like to speak about is, can you remember that first moment that you realized your own magic, your own connection with your spirit, your higher self?
I'm gonna have to say that it was probably when I was very little. And I say that because for those who know my story, I'll just give you a quick background for those who don't. I lost my father when I was 2. And so I always had imaginary friends. Now, kids have imaginary friends. Sometimes they're not imaginary, but that's the only way we can, as adults or people who don't see, feel, and hear as deeply as others, they're like, okay, my kid has an imaginary friend, whatever. I had a lot of them. And I would have to say it goes back to that time and never really, it's like, okay, I had a lot of imaginary friends and never really feeling like I fit in. I'm very good at being a chameleon because I never fit in. And so noticing and realizing, I would have to say at a young age, but coming into my own, I would have to say it was after a reading from a psychic that I love. Her name is Anita. And she looked at me during my reading, and I'd seen mediums psychics before, but she was the first one to look me in the face and say, you're psychic, right? And I looked at her and I'm like thinking, well, that explains a lot. I'm like, okay. And she goes, you should really be, you got to use this. And I'm looking at her like I looked at Pat Longo when I went to Pat in a second, we'll get there. And looked at him like, okay. And then I didn't. And when I look back, I would always be right on a lot of things from my friends, a lot of things that happened in my family. Like, there was a period of time I was afraid to go to sleep because if somebody was sick or old, and I knew that just intuitively that they were going to pass, I'd take a nap, I'd wake up and be told they were gone. So it's like, well, I don't want to sleep. This is what happens when I go to sleep. I don't want to sleep. I'll just figure out how to stay up 24 hours for the rest of my life. Because I was young. I was like,
Yeah.
well, I know this. And like I had a lot of deja vu moments, did a lot of astral travel. And it wasn't until Anita just said she didn't call me out because I had an inkling, but didn't really know. She was the one who just confirmed it.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, now I have to really, because I would dabble in learning and coming in tune with and struggling with that fine line of I'm a faithful Christian, but at the same time, it's another group I don't fit in with.
Very true.
So it was when Anita basically looked me in the face and said, you're psychic, right? And I'm like, I am? Well, that explains a lot. And then I happened to be watching Long Island Medium probably a year or so later, and she was talking about her teacher, Pat, and how Pat does energetic healings. And I had reached out to Pat. I'm like, here, I'm on Long Island. Who can I talk to? And she was like, she invited me to meet her, and I had a healing with her. And during that healing, she also said something very similar to Anita. And she's like, You're not psychic. You're not sick. You're psychic." And I started taking classes with her. And during the course of that class, she would tell me my hands are really hot. I'd give her a hug and say thank you. And she's like, your hands are really hot. You have to do something with it. Meanwhile, at the time, I was not experiencing hot hands. I was just looking at her like, you're crazy. I don't do what you do. Um, but she kept on saying it. And I do have a personal rule of three. And so this came up three times, and so did my Reiki master teacher's name, my mentor. And Lorraine's name came up three times. And I was like, all right, I'm going to need that number too. Because it was being given to another classmate, and then the following month. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to need that too. And then I met Lorraine kind of the same way I met Pat, and I reached out to her to take classes with her. And she goes, have you ever experienced Reiki? I'm like, no, but Pat keeps on telling me I need to do something with my hot hands. And she's like, well, why don't you come and experience it first? So I had a session with her, and it was like, yes, this is what I need to be doing. This is how I need to be doing it. And don't you know, I had my session with her, and then I had my first class with her. And during that first class, I can only equate it to like Drew Barrymore and Firestarter. It's like my hands got super hot. Like I felt like I could like create a fireball and throw it at somebody. It's
Wow.
like, not in a bad way, but it's like, okay, I get the hot hands now.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like, when did I know? Probably when I was very young. When did I really say and get confirmation? In my 30s. In my late 20s, 30, early 30s, where I had that confirmation. Like, yes, you are this. But it wasn't until my mid 30s when I started doing something with it.
Yeah. And I feel like it's a very similar story for a lot of people. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, that's better.
So yeah, I feel like that's a very similar story. A lot of people in the spiritual community where they had experiences and you don't know what it is, especially when you're children. It's like, okay, doesn't everybody have, imaginary friends, or doesn't everybody know if somebody's, not feeling well and then they might pass, or like it's just natural. It just comes natural. And, a lot of people obviously we know that everybody has abilities, but not everybody is meant to do this work too. So we all have those moments where we have deja vu, or we have just something that that you can't possibly know, maybe a dream. But it's different when it kind of keeps happening like this. And I love your rule of three because I agree with that. I am the same way. I'm like, and I really follow it because it's really, really true. That's when we're kind of in resistance, we're not paying attention to that. But when you're in that flow and you realize like, okay, well, I heard this two or three times now, I know that this is something I should be doing. And it
Right,
always
yeah.
feels right when you actually do it, right?
Yes. And when
It's
you're
like you
paying
knew.
attention, and it's like, that's why I have a rule of three. It's like, wait, this has come up before.
Yeah.
Wait, this came up before. Wait, okay, I'm paying attention. I'm listening.
Yeah. It's almost like I say, I know I actually say that too. Since I'm like, okay, I heard you. Like, I get it. I'm supposed to be doing this. And I love that. And it really does help. Doesn't mean maybe that you wouldn't wind up doing that eventually, but your road there is going to be much different than if you just paid attention and,
Pay attention. Yep.
and listened. And because when it's meant, it's just meant to be. And obviously this was something that you did, uh, we definitely needed to do this, the Reiki. And now, can you just explain the difference between Karuna? I know we were just discussing that between Karuna and Reiki. And like you said, it's in the wheelhouse, but it is a little different.
Reiki, most people are getting familiar with, and it's a healing modality. It's an ancient Japanese healing relaxation technique that aligns the mind, body, and soul. And there's a lot of healing that comes with it because it helps to helps your body heal itself, whether that's mentally, physically, spiritually. It helps in aiding and speeding up physical ailments. It helps to find clarity. So it does all the good stuff. And it works with Western medicine, not to replace it. A lot of people think it will be replacing it. It works with, like, if you're seeing a doctor, you need to continue to see your doctor. If you're seeing a mental health professional, you need to continue. What Reiki does is bring in a lot of peace, a lot of healing, a lot of relaxation. For me, when my clients are in that deep healing, relaxed state, that's when the best messages flow through for them. There's a difference, and I know as a fellow reader, as a fellow medium, it's easier to read somebody who's open and relaxed.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
There are often times when people are coming and they're distressed, and it's harder to read because they're blocking out the things they need to see. They're filtering things out. Whereas with me, that's like if I feel that way, I kind of stop my session and I'll do some Reiki if that's not part of what they came to see me for. I've
I like that.
And so with Karuna, it's the I don't want to say it's the opposite, but it basically is. It's the shadow side of life. It's taking that look inward. It's like you're finally like, as Taylor Swift says, and I'm not a Swiftie, I'm not a Taylor Swift fan, but I'm the problem, it's me. And when you acknowledge that some of these patterns that you're experiencing, different, same lesson, different bodies, then when you're taking like, wait, hold on. Okay, I got to address this because maybe it's me. It's taking that look in the mirror and saying, okay, something's got to change. Something's got to give. I got to do the work. And what Karuna helps with doing that work. But I'll be honest, it's not easy because it's a deep look. As one of my fellow students, when we were doing Karuna, one of my fellow students said, "Put on your big lady panties because this is no joke."
And it's true.
I mean,
Shadow work is no joke.
true, any sort of true shadow work, whether it's Karuna or otherwise, when you take that deep look at yourself, it's like, how did I contribute? You're like, well, I didn't. This is happening and this is happening, but how did you contribute? I was in an abusive marriage. How did I contribute? I stayed. Okay, address why I stayed. Why did I allow this? Could I have fought back? How could I have fought back? Taking, and it's like, yes, you're still the victim, but you have to own some of that. And nobody wants to own some of that. And it's harder. But Karuna is very healing in that you're willing to own it and work through it. It's very cathartic.
That sounds amazing. And yeah, you kind of need to go through that shadow work to get to the next, to that next level where you feel peace. Because if you have all of that on you, it's not serving you. It's just holding you down.
It's harder to grow.
Yeah.
It's harder to grow.
And it
Mhm.
kind of gives you a clearer picture too. I mean, do you feel like why did that happen? Why were you in an abusive marriage? Is it something that you carried over from another life that you didn't clear? Or is it
And
something that you had to learn now?
it's a combination because I was also abused as a child. And it's like when I dug deep into that abuse as a child, it's like, well, how did I contribute? In some cases, we truly are the victim as children.
Yeah,
As adolescents forward, we played a part.
right. It's how you used it. It's how
It's
you
how
used.
you used it.
Yeah.
So, and to answer the past life thing with my ex-husband, it was karma. It was a lesson that I had carried over several times. I'd seen him several times throughout several lifetimes in different areas of life. This was like our third marriage. It was abusive, and he was always the aggressor. It wasn't on the flip side because we
Oh, okay.
remember in every life we have the option to be the hero or the villain, the protagonist or the antagonist. And in every lifetime where I was married to this individual, he was the antagonist. So it was like, oh, this isn't happening again. No, when I had that past life regression, I was like, oh, this explains a lot because I there were a couple of pain points with my mother as well, and I'm sitting here going, with my mom, most of the lesson is on her side, trying to be a good teacher, but most of it is on her side. With my ex-husband, it was all on me, and it was like, "Oh, we're gonna set this with kerosene and a match because I ain't seeing you again. I'm learning the lesson this time."
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I was like, no, this is not a lesson I choose to repeat.
No. And it's freeing, especially because it's something you carried over from other lifetimes. It it is when you finally get to that point where you let go of it and you recognize what your part is and you just heal. It's amazing. It's just amazing.
Yes,
I'm
it
sure you felt
really is.
that.
And it is freeing because it was like, oh, this makes a lot of sense. It's like why he felt like I don't know about you and your husband or any or even your children where you just look at their eyes and you're like clicks, it connects. So we met when we were teenagers and it was just like magnets. Like, oh, hi, I know you. And it's like, why do I know you?
Yeah.
And then you go through all of this stuff. And then I was like, okay, this on my spiritual journey is like I go for this past life regression. And it's like, that's why I know you. I
Yeah.
don't want to know you anymore. I don't
I'm good now. We can
we're good now.
we don't need or maybe he'll play another part and not be an aggressor, but just
Well, yeah, we'll see where things pan out next lifetime. But
right.
as I'm sitting here right now, I'm like the next soul contract I write, I was like, I don't want you in it.
You're good. You're so good. No, and that's with even things that are, you know, something that's going to benefit your life in a good way. Like it definitely benefits in general, whether it's a negative experience or not. It definitely, as long as you're learning that lesson, it will help you, in the
Forward.
future. Because bless you. And as long as you're learning from that lesson, so that's important. But even like when I met my husband, it was familiar. I knew him. You're drawn to that person, and that's what you mean about being like that magnet.
Yes,
It's
for sure.
important.
For sure. And it's like there's certain people where it's like, okay, I get it. I get you're in my life for a reason because there's that familiarity almost instantly.
Yeah. It's like your soul group. Just like when you meet, like when I met you, when I met other, like all the people in my life, especially the newer people. And I would say new because
They're new right
if
now.
it's longer than 6 years, it's new. Like I mean, shorter than 6 years, it's new. But yeah, because that's when I kind of started this whole journey of actually accepting where I'm going with this. But yeah, it's pretty amazing when you're on that journey and when you start doing that work and letting go of those pieces that we want to. It's amazing. And it does progress you to the next part of where you need to be. And I was going to say, like, how did it change your life? So, how did this all change your life? Coming to and realizing that you're and accepting, because I feel like you're always meant to do this work, obviously, because of what where you're at now. Um, how did it change your life at that point when you accepted everything?
When I started accepting things and just like, okay, this is who I am. And sometimes that's a cop out, but in this case, it really wasn't a cop out. It's like, well, how do you know that? And not being afraid to say, I just do, or that's what I'm getting, or what I'm feeling like, phrasing it different. Because I used to be like, I don't know, I just do. This is what I see. I mean, it's like the first time I did remote viewing for my sister. She was at her office. She's in Colorado. I'm in New York. We are nowhere near each other. I haven't seen her at all during the day. And I'm like, can I do you have this on your desk? And do you have this? And she's like, could, and I go, are you wearing such? She goes, could you stop that?
Yeah, it is a little scary at first, right?
All
Especially
right. But
when
she's also gifted as well. But I also learned from a past life regression, her and I were twins in a former life. So,
wow.
um, and our mother was our father during that lifetime. And then my ex-husband was a psycho husband. So he played his role very well. um, but it was just accepting the fact that I could do that and not really know how yet because I wasn't at the time I accepted it. I had just seen Anita and she's like, "Yeah, you're psychic. So all the stuff that's been happening to you pretty much your whole life, it you're gonna continue." And I tried very hard to block it out. I didn't know how. I didn't know how what a boundary for psychic boundaries was. I didn't know anything. I just knew that I was different.
Yeah.
And now I kind of just, I am different. And it took a like, finally being able to find a soul tribe, a family where it's okay to be different. I guess that's how it changed my life. It's like, okay, I am not alone. Because it felt for so many decades, I was alone. Not feeling alone, that's what changed my life profoundly. It's like I can do this. And being authentic, allowed to
Yeah,
be me. Because we are all intuitive, but some people play it up to the ego and some people will keep it humble. I try and keep it humble. It's like, yeah, this is
yes,
what I do. And yeah, I'm good at it. And that's not my ego. That's if you come and you sit down before me, you're going to get a good reading. If you come and lay on my table, you're going to get a good healing. And I take pride in that, but not in a bombastic way. It's
right,
like thank you for letting me help you. Thank you for allowing me to be in your energy, and thank you for letting me, connect through spirit for your guidelines and your guides and your family members, and just being that way, not being pompous about it. That
right,
humility. And that is just like, okay, I can accept who I am. I can accept what I bring to others. I can accept how I serve others, and I'm not afraid to anymore. I guess I was like, yeah, if I were born in like another time period, like in like the 30s, where everything was kept quiet. Yeah, grandma does that. Just let grandma do her thing. And it's like, well, what is grandma doing? Where now we're a bit more, we're out of the closet and we're not witches being burned at the stake. They're accepting us.
exactly, exactly. That's so big, right? I really do think that when, like you were saying, that you felt like when you came to this, that you found your soul group, you found and when you do that and you start accepting yourself, that's really important because
Yeah.
we're always so, I'm sure at all those years you kind of felt different. And then you kind of, because other people looking, you feel like other people are going to look at you that way. You looked at yourself that way.
Yeah.
But knowing that it's okay to be different and being in this group is freeing. And it's funny because I actually was the opposite. I didn't even realize I was different until now. So it was the opposite. I'm always like, oh, I'm like everybody else. And I am in some ways. And then yet I'm not. Like I am different. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Everybody has their own unique um way of doing things, whether it's doing this work or not. Just like if you're an artist and that's a gift and that's a ability that just like this is an ability that we use to help others and we're the channel. And for me, and I'm sure you feel the same way, I always want to be the best that I can be at being the channel so that
Yes.
I can help others and be clearer and more open. And when I do that, I actually do my own work and I help clear myself and get rid of all of those blocks and all of
Muck
those
in the mire.
traumas and the
Yeah.
shadow work.
Shadow work. Well, it was very funny. I'm taking a tarot class, and I never really connected with tarot cards or angel cards or anything like that. I tried several times, and I was reading for myself. And what is great is that the teacher of this class, his mother is a very gifted psychic, and she would always read cards, but she was always reading them for herself in addition to other people. And he watched how it drove her crazy, so he won't pull cards for himself. And so I realized it's like, why am I not connecting? Because they're not for me. I'm not supposed to. I was reading for myself, and I'm like, and anybody who's kind of like this, like, oh, I don't like that card. Pick a different card. Oh, I don't like that. No, give me a different answer.
Right,
Whereas as you are aware, being the best channel and the best medium we can be, we're just a mailman. We deliver
right,
with love, care, concern, and compassion. I'm sorry you don't like the message, but that's the message I'm giving. And when I could separate, because I feel for a lot of people being that empath, as you know, being that empath is hard because you're like, I'm so sorry that I have to deliver this bad news to you. Where it's more like, okay, I have bad news. How can I deliver this in a loving manner, in a way that it will hopefully be received as not necessarily great news, but news that they can work with.
right, right. And that's the thing. Sometimes people, and that's why too for me, like when I do the reading, I'll say whatever's coming through, and then I always say, okay, maybe that's not what they wanted to hear. about or whatever it is. But then I'll always offer them a chance to ask a question that they have about something so that they also receive what they want, but they're also receiving what they need too, right? So 'cause they
Absolutely.
need that. They need that's the messages coming through, and that's not you controlling it, it's what's coming through.
Yes,
So
and I mean, I've had several great teachers, and I'm sure you have too. It's like we're the mailman.
right. And being humble is so important. And for me, every time when I receive things from people, I'm amazed at the messages that come through too. And I never not want to be amazed
Right.
because that's when you take it for granted. And it's really such a gift to be able to be a part of that. Because I don't know about you, but I do still, I feel the love coming through. I feel the
Yeah,
emotions. And to me, that's just amazing. And each time we receive for others, we also receive because we're learning things, we're learning lessons, where we don't have to go through it, we kind of see it. And when you see those patterns of people, what they've been through, or
mhm.
just even watching them connect with a loved one, seeing, how it makes them feel and how healing it is, it's just amazing.
It is amazing. Absolutely.
And I always want it to be amazing. And I feel like, that's the goal. We don't want to take anything for granted with this work. And sorry, I have a gnat. So let's see. Oh, I was just wondering now, how did it change when you accepted this? How did it change others around you when you're like when you work and they're seeing you heal and they're seeing you progress? How did it change people around you and your family and your friends?
Um, well, I'm part of the reason I love Colorado is because it was the only way to progress. We'll leave it at that. And so now it's very funny. It's like I didn't have a very close relationship with my mom. I still kind of don't, but we have a better relationship now that I'm 3,000 miles away. Um, and with my stepdad, I think that once he had a few aha moments, it's like, okay, he can accept a lot more from me, knowing part of my past. It was like, no, I don't hate you personally. I hated all men. You just happen to be one. Um,
Right,
and
right,
because of what had happened. But when he found out what had happened, he was like, oh, okay. It's not me. It's not personal. And I mean, as time grew on, before I even left, if I've got to pick a parent, I call him. It's like, but the funny thing is, when I was doing the training with Pat and the trainings with the Rain and other people, I said out loud, I go, I'm not going to tell my mom what I'm doing. She's not A, going to know what I'm doing. And B, it's not going to make any sense to her. And the funny thing is, when I said that, the next conversation I had with her, it fell out of my mouth. And I'm like thinking to myself, that's not funny. And I'm sure everyone's laughing at me, but I was like, that's not funny. And now she's like, she doesn't fully understand it, but it's kind of like, oh, that's cool. Oh, okay. Not pretending to understand it, but like, oh, okay, that's what you're doing. And oh, that sounds cool. Before I would have been like, what kind of witchcraft are you doing?
right.
And and it's like, no, I can see where you're coming from, Mom, but it's not. It's not in witchcraft in today's world. Maybe back in the 1400s it was, but not today.
Exactly. Back then it was different. But I think that when you accepted yourself, you were able to tell her. And I think you wanted her to know who you really, who you are because you accepted it.
Yeah.
That's really important.
And with my son, he knows he accepts it, but he's also of that age where it's like he wants a normal mom. He didn't get one. He wants to fit in. He's doing okay, but it's like he's also very gifted. But I think that the way everything was written and come into to effect, that he knows he's safe. He can tell me, I'm seeing someone, I'm seeing these people. I don't see them, but I also don't deny his experience. And I remind him, you don't want to see them. You got to tell them to go away. You have to tell them, not
Right,
me. It's not, I don't know who you're looking at. If I see them too, then I can say, okay, yeah, it's a joint experience, but they're not coming to me. They're coming to you.
right.
And with Reiki, when I started on that journey, which is part of what I really feel helped me get through my very tumultuous divorce, Jeffrey, my son, has been a beneficiary of my very hot hands because wrestling and football and lacrosse and he has ankle and foot in, everything. Now he's decided to throw his arms into the mix, and I'm like, what?
Oh,
And I love him dearly. So it's like I'm like, do you want Reiki? Because he knows my hands get very hot. Or like when he has a migraine. And he's like, oh, that feels good. It's like he doesn't want to do it, but now he's like, okay, yeah. He was like, in Jeffrey speak, maybe means yes, but
maybe means yes. Yeah.
maybe means yes, but don't tell me what you're doing. But meanwhile, my hands are on fire.
And he knows,
And he
that,
knows, but we're just
yeah.
going to pretend.
Yeah.
But given the age, I was trying to pretend at that age that I
Yeah.
didn't do weird things.
And it
It
makes
wasn't
sense.
easy.
He's trying to discover himself. And I guess, obviously you don't want to be different, right? Nobody wants to be different until now. I feel like I'm good. I'm good being different. It's fine, but at that age,
Different
you don't
shows
want
you
to be
who your
different.
real friends are.
Exactly. That's true. Very true.
If I can
Very
be
true.
weird around you, we're good.
Exactly. Exactly. And they accept, and they're as weird as you too. I mean, they have their own weirdness, right? Everybody's got their own.
Yeah.
And that's that. There was a meme, and it was the best. I sent it to my best friends, and this person's dancing, all like crazy, and the guy walks in and looks at her like, okay, and then he's like, okay, and then he starts dancing the same way, and it's just so accurate and so true. When they start, and it's really freeing for you to know that people that knew you before you did this work
Mhm.
accept you for who you are. I mean, I it's amazing. I mean, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a psychic medium, and they're like, okay, okay. I'm like, wait a minute, you're okay with
They
this?
even have their own moments of, well, that explains a lot.
Yeah. Now I get it. So true. And I wanted to ask too, how does this show up in your work that you do and transition to the people that come to you, your clients, and how does that, how does this magic within? So we know that you have hot hands, know that you do the Karuna. Um, like how does that translate to them? Do you see like how when they leave your session, what do they like?
They usually they're very relaxed, and if they've had any kind of pain or physical ailment, they usually don't feel that, or they feel less pain. They'll feel less of that ailment, or they feel much better. Many people will comment on the heat of my hands, or like yesterday, I very rarely experience cold hands. But what a client came in and said she was having a headache. I mean, I usually, again, have hot hands. My hands turned into ice cubes. I
Wow.
was like, I was for the life of me, like, for my own self, I'm like, I'm gonna get frostbite. Can you warm them up a little bit? And she needed that. It helped to soothe her headache. And she was also feeling some aches and pains. And usually the heat will help the coldness of my hands. So I've learned to accept the temperature changes as they happen because they've happened in the middle of a session. And anybody who walks away will usually feel some sort of mental or physical um, release. And then again, it comes in with being in the medium side, they're relaxed, so the messages that they need to hear, their mind is clear enough to accept them. And my goal is always that you will feel better if you feel like crap when you come to me, you will feel better when you leave me. And my goal has always been you will, to leave you in a better spot than when you came.
Yeah, exactly. And the Karuna, is this something that is it like a series of sessions or is it just one session? How does that work?
It's a series of sessions
That's
because
what I figured. Does
shadow
it
work
take,
isn't
it's not
overnight.
one and done. And it never, and it's, you're always learning
Never
and
is.
growing, right? Yeah,
Never one and done. I still do shadow work. I mean, I'm learning things and going into depths that I never would have thought I would. And
exactly.
I mean, and yeah, I still go to therapy. for once a week. I was like, one, two, this is my third try, and this is the therapist that has worked. This is the person who's reached me. So it's like I was one of those where therapy doesn't work for me, where this particular person's energy and resonated with me. And it's very funny because he's my son's therapist, he's my therapist, and he happens to be our family therapist when necessary.
I love it.
And
And
but
why does
it,
that happen? Because it's what you need now. You've changed, right?
yeah.
Sorry, that's amazing. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with combining different methods to because it's what you need, right? You needed that. You needed the maybe the dynamics of the family. That's why it worked so well, you
Hmm.
know. Um, I think that people, you know, as an integrative nutrition health coach, I've realized that it's not only one way. You can combine Western medicine and Eastern medicine and all different, you know, changing your food, changing your, you know, I should say transitioning your food into something that's more mindful, um, way of eating, like healthier and just something that's going to feed your body. And then also doing physical movement and also spiritual. Like it's not just one thing. There's a whole pie of different
Right.
pieces that you need to add into it. And that's really what this works. I think that people don't realize that doing this, using the magic within, it's not just one thing, it's so much. I mean, do have a physical body. So we want to look at that also and that, you know, body correctly so that it can work at its ultimate. And, you know, it's, and then also your spiritual side and your financial side and all of that is connected. You know, for me, the financial side, I didn't realize was really connected to my emotional
Yeah.
and knowing that, you know, I'm allowed to and I deserve to have, you know, a good
Abundance.
financial,
Yeah.
you know, good financial input or whatever, however you want to look at it. But it's so much. It's so much. And like you said, it's all pieces of the healing that we kind of take off those layers and there's always more and going deep in, like you said, you never thought you get to that point. So there's
Yeah.
always more.
There's always,
And in a good way. In a
but
good way. I really love this. And you know, I wanted to mention that you do have a journal, a 90 days of self-reflection.
yeah.
And you do have meditations on your website. And I think that's amazing because that's important. You know, people can go to that and do meditations. And that the journal, was that something that's part of Karuna?
No, actually, that is part of my 90 days of self-care. So I have a 90-day self-care program. And so the journal can be used in conjunction with, and is actually a gift from me to any of my participants in the coaching program, and it is standalone.
Love
So
it.
if you don't participate in the program, you can still get the journal.
That's amazing. And that's it. You know, you give back too. I know that we do so much with, you know, fundraising and, you know, being at the fundraisers or doing Reiki. We do Reiki at the fundraisers too. And that's really a big part of this. It's not just about doing your readings, doing your Reiki. It's really, you know, meaningful for healing for yourself around you because as you heal others around you without even doing anything. They're
Yep.
seeing you and they kind of look at their self and when you kind of maybe they're interested in like, well, why are you doing that? And I'm like, well, because you know, I'm releasing something or so yeah, it's just amazing. And I'm so grateful for you coming on and you know sharing your magic within. It's so special. And each one of us has something different to offer. And you definitely have some amazing things. And I'm so
Thank you.
grateful to have met you and have you on here.
Thank you. It was a pleasure being on.
Such a pleasure. So thank you so much and have a beautiful day. And I'm